Hey everyone, I'm Joe Ferzoco.
And I'm Chris Ferzoco. We're going to be doing market statistics. We're going to wrap up 2025 in the next series of videos that we're doing here today.
Okay.
First, we're going to start off with December versus November, Joe. See how we did end up wrapping up the year entirely there.
Yeah.
We want to look at the overall value of properties. We want to look at the number of homes that actually sold, meaning came off the market. We also want to look at the number of properties that came on the market, new active listings. We're going to compare the list price versus the actual sale price. And then we also want to look at days on market as well.
Fantastic. And of course, folks, if you like what you hear, you like what you're seeing here, when we're talking about market statistics, of course, anything we're talking about here on the channel, make sure you subscribe below, tap that bell for instant notifications, and please hit that like button, and you'll be the first to get the most up-to-date market information, happenings, trends, activities going down here at the Jersey Shore. No, not that Jersey Shore, our Jersey Shore, Ventnor, Margate, Longport, Ocean City, Summers Point, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, Avalon, North Wildwood, Wildwood Crest, West Wildwood, Cape May, North Cape May, Cape May Courthouse, and Upper Township. Those are our areas. I mean, right now, as Chris, is about 11 areas, 11 towns that we're covering.
Sure.
We try to focus on here with our videos. So why don't you get us started here with Ocean City and just talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to work up there, Joe. We'll start in Ocean City, work our way down the coastline. Ocean City had a real positive month of December. Actually, went up 25% in the overall value. Went up from about $1,223,000 up to $1,054,000. So very strong. Year end, really.
Sure.
Strong way to end the overall year there in the month of December. So again, values up about 25%. Interesting, we saw the number of properties drop by about 33%. And again, what I mean by sold is the properties that closed. They were already under contract from previous months.
Yep.
They've actually finally closed. They're off the books. That dropped 33%. That went down from 51 properties down to 34 in the month of December. Real surprising there, Joe. Normally, we do find in most of our shore towns, it's the end of the year. It's a big surge. It's a rush. Everyone wants to get it in for whatever their reasons are by year end. So it was really interesting to see that 33% drop. I'm curious to see what you're going to mention in your towns that you'll be covering. As for the number of properties that came on the market, again, a 30% drop. We had 77 in November, down to 54 in the month of December. So not a lot of people looking to get out, looking to sell in the month of December either.
Right.
As for list price versus sale price, it was actually the exact same, 95%. So what's interesting there, you always like to point out, it's 95%, so that remained the same, but you're plus about $300,000 in your starting point.
In a better point.
Yeah. So, hey, look, I mean, they
made more money.
So good for you there. So again, that was 95%. And days on market was 29 in November. Like, boom, they were just flying off the shelf. 89 days, much more normal, if you will, for the month of December. In Ocean City. Now, moving down into Sea Isle City, we actually had a 7% increase in the overall value. So both of the shore towns had a value increase in the month of December. We went up 7% from 1.32 up to 1.41. The number of properties that actually had sold, huge dropped 53%. So we had 13 in November. We went down to 6 in the month of December. Again, just not a lot of settlements either month, really, but 6, that was a shock.
Yeah.
Real surprise there. That's the number of properties that came on the market, 33% drop. 15 in November, 10 in December. So again, not a lot of homes coming on the market. In fact, you kind of take a look at that and you're like, okay, we're only +4 then in the month of December. When you look at the number of properties that closed versus new ones that are on the market, you're only +2 in November. So again, you're not seeing that increase in inventory. Right now in Seattle, we're less than 40 homes as of this recording. Ocean City was 244 homes. So again, with just that inventory is just not increasing. In fact, it's going down.
The other way. Yeah.
Going down.
Yeah.
Sale price versus list price actually was the same. Both were 96% November, December. And your days on market was actually about 64 days in the month of December.
Yeah, because you say that about like with the inventory, like there's just not, like I'm going to get into like the Wildwoods here and stuff like that further down the parkway a little bit. And it's just incredible with regards to, we thought November was sort of like a slow, like, oof, boy, okay, you got Thanksgiving, but man, oh man, December, like, so let's jump into so North Wildwood. Actually, North Wildwood, one of the few towns, when we kind of look at this, so like North Wildwood had your average sale price was $707,000 for the month of December. That was actually a 10% decrease from the month of November. When we're looking at the percentage of properties that sold, we only had 12 transactions for all of North Wildwood in the month of December. It compared to 15. Now, what we usually do is when we look at these and we say, it's pretty much the same. If you're like 2-3 transactions different, it's about the same. The market's about the same. Right. You start getting 4 or 5, then you'll start to see this percentage difference where it's like, okay. But if I say to you, hey, like such and such had a, pretty much the same as the month before. It's probably like 2 or 3 transactions, or in some cases it is 100%. But that's usually where we try to, put those numbers into there. But when you look at the number of properties that came on the market in North Wildwood in December, we had a 61% decrease. We only had 7 total properties come on the market in North Wildwood in the month of December. So really a slowdown there, as you churn into January. List price to sale price was sitting at 96%. A little bit of a drop there. Days on market was relatively the same, about 113 was your days on market. When you go into Wildwood, average sale price was $499,000. That was an 18% decrease in your average sale price in December versus November. The number of transactions we had in Wildwood, that dropped at 32%, only 13 transactions in Wildwood. The number of properties that came on the market, 79% decrease. We only had 5 properties come on the market in all of Wildwood in the month of December. And Chris and I try to make sure we always say this as well. These are everything that is on the MLS. If your next door neighbor is going for sale by owner, or Tommy down the street sold, and it's not on the MLS, unfortunately, they're not part of these market statistics. So this is everything that's on the MLS in the Cape May County and, of course, the South Jersey Multiple Listing Service. So just want to make sure everyone realizes that. Your list price to sale price was, 96%, list price to sale price there. Your average days on market actually dropped. It was 132 days on market as opposed to 319 in Wildwood. So for the month of November, when we see those massive numbers with days on market, the one thing that we always try to equate that to is usually it's new construction.
Yeah.
They break ground, property hits the MLS, and it doesn't close until it's finished. Sometimes that could take 9-10 months. So it's not a matter like, oh my God, these properties are sitting for a year. It's usually just new construction as to why that really kind of pushes that out. So let's jump into Wildwood Crest. So actually Wildwood Crest had an increase. Average sale price was $876,000. That was a 19% increase in your average sale price for the month of December. As far as the number of properties that sold, it was actually a little busy. It was a 33% increase in the number of transactions for Wildwood Crest. It was 12 transactions. As far as the number of properties that came on the market, that was a 63% decrease. Folks, you're seeing a pattern here, 61, 79, 63% decrease. We had 3 properties come on the market in all of Wildwood Crest in December. So inventories are just not climbing right now. There's just no expansion or anything like that. List price to sale price sat right around 96%, so that's a win there. Of course, your days on market was about 172 days. Again, probably falling into that new construction. A lot of these new constructions closing at the end of the year, as Chris mentioned before. Going into Sea Point Village, Diamond Beach area, you had a 51% increase in your average sale price was $1.7 million for the Sea Point Village area. Number of properties that closed, we only had 2 transactions, which was the same as November. We only had 2 transactions there. We had 0 properties come on the market in Diamond Beach and in Sea Point Village in December. List price to sale price ran around 96%, and your days on market was 75. And then moving lastly into Cape May, here for Cape May County, the southern area to which Chris and I cover, your average sale price was up 8%, $1.5 million in the month of December for the Cape May area. As far as number of transactions we had, was the identical to November. There was 6 transactions in November. We had 6 transactions in December. Number of properties that came on the market, 55% decrease in the amount of properties that came on. We had 5 come on in Cape May in the month of December. List price to sale price sat around 96%, and your days on market was 84. So all your, our list price to sale price sat right around 96, 97%, which is, pretty standard. That's pretty much what we see pretty much from month to month. Once in a while, you get this massive, big drop, and sometimes it just has to do with, there are a couple of foreclosure sale prices that and bank owns that are out there, so that might hit that there. But so that's sort of the southern area, Chris, for what we're covering.
Some big numbers there.
Yeah, man. I mean, just it's inventory, just the massive differences from month to month. So why don't you get us offshore here and go to the mainland?
Yeah, let's see what the mainland's any better there, Joe. And looking in Upper Township, we actually did have a 27% increase actually in the overall value, up from 584 to 746,000. There in Upper Township. As for the number of properties that sold, we actually saw a 100% increase. We had 7 sell in November, 14 closed and sold in the month of December. So again, those homes getting off the market there by the end of the year.
Yeah.
As for the number of homes coming onto the market, we saw a 38% decrease. We had 18 in the month of November. We only had 11 come on the market in the month of December. Not overly surprising when you look at the holiday season. Primary home markets tend to have that dip.
Yep.
People just don't want to deal with it, or they just feel buyers aren't out there looking.
Right.
So there's generally that dip, but still had 11 properties come on the market. The actual sale price to list price just was interesting. In November, we had 97%. In the month of December, 68%. Which means there were a few people that sold their homes for a lot less money than what they were asking for.
Right.
Okay, so I'm projecting that was probably more of an anomaly.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty interesting drop there. Now, when you move into Summers Point, moving up the coast there a little bit.
Someone forgot a decimal point when they were putting the sale price
gotta
on the
be something.
MLS.
Yeah,
Yeah,
has
something
to be
sold for
something.
63,000 rather than 630.
Yeah. There you go. So when you look at Summers Point, you actually had a 15% decrease in the overall value. It went from 492 down to 418,000. So that's typical Summers Point. It seems like it's up, down, but it's somewhere between that 420 to 520 range. It just seems to be pinballing back and forth.
Yeah.
As for the number of properties that sold, you actually had virtually the same. You had 11 in November, 12 in December. You had 34 properties come on the market in November. Only 20 came on the market in December. That's a 41% decrease. So again, significant difference in the amount of homes coming available for sale in Summers Point there as we head into this new year. As for those sale price to list price, 99% in November, 100% in the month of December. So obviously properties were moving at a pretty good clip as well because days on market was only 26. 26 days on the market, reflecting in 100% sale price to list price, that actually adds up and makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny you were saying that. I was trying to think of like the days on market and stuff like that. We often, like when we start getting into like the third and fourth quarter comparisons, the semi-annuals, year-to-dates and things like that. It's funny when that's where days on market kind of start to come into play a little bit because we've talked, we talk about with the team and stuff like that when we sit down with sellers or even with buyers, like there are a lot of price adjustments. But yet every town we're doing, and we're really going to see this for the second half of the year compared to the first half of the year, is your average sale price was up. Well, average sale price is always up, but yet you have all those price adjustments. A lot of times it has to do with, especially if you're looking to sell something, to buy something else, you're starting too high. So your sale price is still going to be better than what it was maybe the month before, but you're just starting too high. So the adjustment becomes, okay, everyone's shooting for Pluto, and we got to get back down here to planet Earth, and making sure, which is still going to be better than what it was, probably the month before. So anyways, I digress. North Cape May. Average sale price was up 38% for the month of December. 781,000 was your average sale price in North Cape May for the month of December. As far as number of properties that sold, it was the same as the month before. We had 4 in December, 3 in November. Number of properties came on the market, we only had 3 in the month of December in North Cape May. So again, very limited in your inventory. Your list price to sale price was right around 98%. It was 99% the month before. And your days on market was identical, 77 days. So really much, 2 months and 2 weeks was pretty much your days on market when it came to for North Cape May. And finally, Chris, in Cape May Courthouse, your average sale price was up 4%. 548,000 was your average sale price in Courthouse in December. Number of transactions, we had identical as to November. There was 14 transactions. And as far as the number of properties that came on the market, we had 3, which was an 80% decrease compared to November. So only 3 properties coming on the market in Cape May Courthouse in December. So list price to sale price, this was a little bit probably of an anomaly. I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't 26 days or a 68% decrease, but it was 92% list price to sale price. And your days on market jumped up to 178 days there. So I think, Chris, when, from my perspective, as I mentioned, like when I start to look at these days on market and you try to equate it to like the pricing but then what we see with the MLS, with the amount of price adjustments that you see, properties are sitting longer. However, sellers are reacting more and they're making these price adjustments. So we're not getting a lot of new inventory, but you get new inventory pretty much when someone adjusts their price. So it takes a little bit longer for it to sell, but a seller reacts, adjusts their price down, and boom, and then they're selling. And again, based on what we're seeing here with our stats, like for December, you're still selling it for more than what you would have sold it for in November, which is a great thing.
Absolutely.
So that's just sort of it's coming to some things there. What did you see here for what you saw with December and November?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of said it. We were off screen talking about them a little bit, and you said like there's just zero consistency. Yeah. Like it seems to be all over the map there. I mean, everything was relatively, some big number drops that you had down on the Wildwoods, right? And then you had Ocean City and Seattle pretty consistent with their values were up, but the number of properties that sold were down, and they were 30%, 50%. So, so you're looking at some big drops overall. But again, we're not seeing the inventory coming on the market. So we're not seeing these value drops. We're not seeing the number of homes selling dropping, which is driving inventory up because buyers aren't buying. The overall number of properties for sale is relatively close. It's dropped, as we're doing these videos, but it's not significant. So it becomes one of those, if you're waiting to sell because you're waiting for interest rates to drop because you think there's going to be more buyer interest, you're missing a golden opportunity. because there's not a lot of inventory, there's not a lot of competition for you. It doesn't mean you can ask for a ridiculous number. It still has to be within a market value. But
Sure.
you're missing a golden opportunity where it's like you could really almost dictate your terms from the standpoint of, I want to list it here, I want to do this, this is my timeline, this is what I'm looking for. You don't have to feel rushed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this crazy nonsense that goes on either. You can kind of dictate the pace of action. As a buyer, there's properties that are out there. We just said, there's towns that have inventory in there. So again, you're not necessarily competing with a whole lot of other buyers that are out there in the marketplace either. They may be waiting for the rates to come down. So honestly, I feel on both sides of each other, there's just opportunity being missed, and something that really, as a seller and a buyer, that you should really be communicating with a professional like you and I to kind of talk about what are the options, what is going on in the market, and how does it benefit me?
Yeah.
Right? What is happening?
Yeah, sure.
How does it benefit me? What can I do to take advantage of it? Because I want a shore property. I want to sell my shore property. I want to get into another one, or whatever your story is.
Right.
But waiting is not the answer.
No.
Because you're just going to miss an opportunity.
Yeah, because from a buyer perspective, because except for Summers Point, the other 10 towns that we covered, I didn't see one town that had 100% plus for your list price to sale price. A buyer, like, you're not dealing with multiple offers. Some scenarios, you still have them out there. For sellers, they're still out there. However, for most of the time with most buyers, you're not dealing with 3, 4, 5 multiple offers, and you're not paying full price for the property. So again, to your point, it is a golden opportunity for you, to be hitting the marketplace as a buyer. Interest rates, most of our lenders right now that we're seeing, our rate sheets coming through under 6%. So that's fantastic there. And of course, for sellers, the same thing. So of course, if you are looking to sell, you want to reach out to a professional like us here at the Ferzoco Group, to Chris or myself here. Give us a call, shoot us a text, whether it's this week, next week, 6 months from now, a year from now. We can put a specific market analysis together for your property. If you're a buyer, reach out to us here at the Ferzoco Group. We'll streamline your criteria search. So once those properties hit the market, once those properties drop in price, boom, you're getting those. We get you in, make sure that you're first in line with your offer, and we get you your perfect shore house here for 2026. So that's going to wrap up, Chris. That'll wrap up December for November in 2025. Please stay tuned. Stay with us for other great videos. We're going to be doing end of year, semi-annuals, quarters, and things like that throughout. And of course, we got great projections here for 2026. So until next time, he's Chris, I'm Joe. We'll see you at the beach.